Hey guys, Erica here with the Child Care Director Share podcast. We are starting to wrap up at the CDA conference. I got to give a shout out to my girl over there. We have been here a long time.
Yeah.
This is our probably last interview of the conference.
Ooh.
But I'm super excited because this lovely lady and I will be together at a conference soon enough. But I'm going to give her a few minutes to talk a little bit about herself, what she's doing in the field of ECE. And then, as you know how we'll do it, we'll get into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Erica, for
Yeah.
inviting me. Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Reckhammer, and I call myself a recovering childcare executive.
Okay.
So, spent a lot of years working in senior leadership roles across some of the large childcare organizations in our country. Really proud of the work that I was able to do. And currently have a consulting firm called Aim for Impact, and basically use that as the opportunity to write my job description every day and live my best life in early education.
Yeah.
Girl,
I'm about
that's
that.
right.
We're all about that on this channel.
So I am here today at the CDA conference and presenting on one of the projects that I'm working on that integrates early education and AI, while continuing to keep the heart of what
Yeah.
matters,
Yeah.
right? In our early educators. And so I've been sharing with the audience here about some tech products that we're building with early educators at the table during the development. And that's what we think is so important right now, is making sure that technology is built by the user for the user, and that we aren't just handed technology with no thought to
Yeah.
how we're going to use it in the classroom. So
Yeah. I sometimes I was literally talking to one of my directors who was putting together a workshop and has never used chat. And I said, listen, here's my best advice. That's good to clean something up. I need you to go into this with, what do you really need them to learn? Why do you need them to learn it? And what has your experience in your role for 17 years
that's right.
has it taught you? What has your academic experience taught you? You need to put that in, because if not, it just gives you words. I said, and never go with the first version. Keep digging down
Yeah,
until it sounds like you just cleaner. And
absolutely.
she was like, okay. But yeah, because people are so tempted to just put it in. Okay, it looks good enough.
Yeah,
Not for our little kids.
right.
Not good enough.
Well, so I was at another conference about a year and a half ago, and I had been acting as a coach for a program. I'd been streaming into their video camera system and been watching classrooms and documenting things that I saw and writing coaching plans, and then handing those coaching plans to the directors, because obviously I didn't have a relationship with the teacher. So it wasn't the right thing for me to do to deliver the coaching.
Sure.
But the director didn't have time to sit and observe as often as she needed to really get the whole story, right?
Yeah.
And so I was talking about that with some of the developers of the camera system, Watch Me Grow. They were
Watch Me
mentioning,
Grow. I know
yes,
who they are.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were talking about how I was using that technology, and they mentioned to me that they were working on an AI assisted tool called Smart Observations, that hoped to stream the video footage through a computer vision model and find all the great moments, right?
Yeah.
All the moments of affection and moments of interaction and the instruction. But they had been struggling. And I said, well, who's training the model? And they're like, oh, this guy here, that guy there, this guy
Not an
here.
educator.
Not an educator. Exactly.
Who
And
trains your dog? The postman.
that's right. So, I said it seems to me, if you want that model to think like an early educator and to see the things that are meaningful in an early education classroom, you really need early educators involved. And they said, we agree, but where do we find them? And I said, well, let me see if I can help. And so they gave me a lot of latitude to assemble the Machine Learning Advisory Board. And it's a group of 17 early educators from all different walks of life, from all different careers, from all different places in the industry. And with their help, we watched thousands of videos and thousands of instances of interaction, affection, and instruction, and captured some of the common patterns that could be seen with the eye, because we're of course using a camera. So, right, needs to be things you can see with the eye. And then trained a tool with 12 or so different instances, 20,000 videos that we looked at. And with those videos, we were able to train computer vision to do that. And so now when you stream the video through the computer vision tool, it will surface examples of affection, interaction, and group instruction, which is, a little revolutionary, because cameras in early education classrooms are typically used to find the icky thing.
To find the negative, yeah.
Yeah. And this is really all about recognizing the best things, surfacing them daily, and then, because we're sitting here in CDA, we know the value of data, right?
Yeah.
Assembling that data so that we can tell the whole story of early education and the wonderful, wonderful teachers that are supporting it. So
I find at our center, we also like to use the camera as a problem solver. So if you have a teacher that comes to you and it's like, I'm really struggling with XYZ, and I've tried, all the things. I said, well, let's go look at it.
yeah.
And so when you step out of the room and you step out of it and you're able to, oh, I didn't catch that. I didn't see that. Oh, it really wasn't Johnny. It was really Susie. So I think we should also condition directors to use these tools of electronics, if you will, and AI to also as a training.
Yeah.
Observation for sure, but a training and solution based.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Other than that, it's usually I caught you on your cell phone, or didn't do the diaper change at 2, right?
Yeah.
So I think it should do both. I mean, those things are important, but it should do both. It should be a supportive piece of equipment. Is what it should really be.
And video coaching is not new, right?
Yeah.
We've got some really great models out there from
the
really
NFL?
smart people.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Absolutely.
The NFL, right?
The NFL,
Is the
you're
perfect
exactly
example.
right. You're 100% right.
Mhm.
That the NFL, our
What's the
professional
strengths? What's
sports
the
teams,
weaknesses?
our transportation companies,
Yes.
right? I mean, and speaking of transportation companies, right? We've got some big insurance companies that are using dash cam footage and data from cars to reduce rates, right? When you have evidence and patterns of best driving, then you can show this to your insurance agent. You can say, look, I've got all these patterns of best driving. I should pay less. And, we're telling a similar story with the type of footage that we can capture with cameras. Yes, we can and should use it for teacher recognition, teacher celebration, for teacher coaching and continuous improvement. But it also tells a great story to our families, right? So we've got a marketing opportunity.
Yeah.
It tells the true story to our insurance and to our regulation bodies, right?
Yeah.
Because they only hear oftentimes
Yeah.
when something's gone wrong as well. And we can use this data to create this story of all the things that go right every day.
Yeah.
So you're right. We're learning from, the best industries. We're learning from people who have solved problems with video and AI assistance. And we're really looking, I guess, to kind of solve for the problem. I know most of your audience is leadership in early education. And like I said, this all started because a director wanted to support her teachers and just could not find enough hours in the day to do it herself. And so I said, let me be behind the scenes. I'll do the watching, but you do the coaching. You do the celebrating, right? It's not meaningful coming from me.
Sure.
And so that's what we're hoping AI can do, is take the lift of the viewing and the identification, but then deliver it to the director so she can go coach and celebrate and recognize.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Like you said, if you're working with, larger organizations that have multiple locations. I only have 3, and I just have 40 staff.
Yeah.
But you know how much time it takes to watch, mentor, coach. It does definitely take a little bit of time for sure. So let's talk about, you have a conference.
I do. Thank you for
Talk about that.
asking. Yes. Well, and thank you for agreeing to come and
Of
be one of
course.
our
Of
presenters
course.
and for bringing on the
couldn't
air.
couldn't keep me away.
So in that wonderful opportunity that I have to build my own job description, I, like you, have attended tons and tons and tons of conferences.
Mhm.
And as an attendee, as a presenter, and also as a vendor. So I've kind of got
Mhm.
this 360 approach as to how we plan a great event for leaders. And the National Child Care Association has been around for longer than I've been in the field.
Yeah.
And I remember as a young leader attending their conference as a vendor when I wrote curriculum, and then as a presenter, as a trainer. And then now, here it is, 25 plus years later, they're still hosting conferences. And they invited me to be their event planner.
Yeah.
And so it is the National Child Care Association partnered with NECPA, the National Early Childhood Program Administration. I have to think it slowly in my
Yeah, sure.
head while
There's a lot
I
of
say it out
acronyms
loud.
in this field.
That's right. Coming together to present a conference on quality accreditation and advocacy. It's going to be held March 19th through the 21st in Memphis, Tennessee. And this might be the very best part. Well, second to Erica.
Yep.
Second to Erica.
Second, only second.
That's right. The second best part of the event is that it's being held at the Peabody Hotel. And the Peabody Hotel has this very special tradition
Yeah.
of housing ducks in their pond in the lobby. And so twice a day, the ducks come down from the roof and they roost in the pond. And then they move back up to the top of the roof, led by a very talented duck master. And during our conference, somebody from the National Child Care Association will be the duck master.
That is very cool. Thank you for telling that story, because I was like, what's the thing with the ducks? Like, I didn't know the story. I didn't know. She's like, and when Cindy told me, she's like, the Peabody with the ducks. I'm like, no idea.
So, since we are cash here on the podcast, the story is hysterical. So it's back in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and the owners of the hotel were hunters.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a hunter and my family's not a hunting family, but I know what decoy ducks are. Okay. They float in the pond and the other ducks see them and they come and sit.
Yep.
But back then, decoy ducks were real ducks.
Oh.
They weren't plastic ducks or wooden ducks. You had a set of ducks that had their wings clipped that couldn't fly away.
Okay.
And they were your decoy ducks that brought the other ducks to the pond. But this night, the owners of the hotel got liquored up and forgot to take their decoy ducks back to the roof. And so they spent the night in the fountain at the hotel. And when they woke up, there were children and families standing around the fountain looking at the ducks, and they were like, we're on to something.
Yeah. Yay. One for the ducks.
That's right. One for the ducks. But let me tell you, the ducks at the Peabody are the most well-kept ducks you'll ever meet. And Keenan Walker is the duck master, and he's been the duck master for a number of years now. Brilliant, brilliant man. So charismatic, so fun, and so committed to children and families.
When you say fun, how fun is it just to say when somebody asks you, what do you do? And you say, I'm the duck master. I'm the duck master. I'm sure every conversation is, what is that? How do I get to be duck master?
I saw an interview with him just recently, and he said something to the effect of, I'm probably the only one on the IRS rosters with duck master as his job title, right? But not during the conference, because somebody at our conference is going to be the duck master. But we are so thrilled to welcome early education leaders from across the country for 2 days. We've got a slate of 25 speakers that includes you, of course, and some of the most fantastic speakers. One of the things we were committed to is making sure that our speakers were also practitioners.
Yeah.
And so everybody behind a microphone is going to have lived experience to share.
Yeah.
We also very committed to being kind of a stage for some of our new speakers in the field. This is a
Love that.
leadership event. And so, yeah, we want
I
to
love
make sure
that.
that we get some new people.
I
there
love
too.
that. I really appreciate that. And the reason I said, like, I don't know if you know, I have my own conference. I started last year. Yeah, I started a conference last year. It's a national conference, but we bring it to Rhode Island because we don't have a lot of conferences in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And we were approached by some amazing speakers who do the circuits. And we said, thank you. We are honored that you put in your RFP. But for this event, it's going to be up and coming speakers.
Yeah.
And they very graciously understood. But I feel like it's nice to have some fresh perspectives as well, right?
Yeah.
There are some wonderful speakers that you see,
Yeah.
but we got to make room for other folks.
Absolutely.
So it's nice. Just that alone gives
Yeah.
a freshness, like somebody you've never heard speak
Yeah.
before. Oh, I'd like to check that out. Let me hear what this person has to say. So
One of
your way.
Yeah, one of the speakers is a young woman, Sydney Vinson. She comes from a long family history in early education. She, I think, just turned 27.
Yeah.
So very young and early in her career, but just fireball,
Yeah.
right? And she's giving a talk on teacher retention of the current generation of workforce, right? Because we have been spinning our wheels using the same old strategies that we always use to keep our teachers engaged, and it's not working.
Yeah.
Right? And so she's coming from this lived experience as a teacher. What did it take to keep me engaged? And in my peer group, what's important to us, and how do you help us learn and grow so that we stick around,
So I'm laughing because literally on that table, I do tons of workshops. Literally on that table, I have one flyer, and that one flyer is on teaching and working with multi-generational teams. That is the only flyer I have over there. And I have been lucky and privileged. I have my niece, we have a family-owned business. My daughter works there, my niece works there, my nephew works there, my sister and my husband doesn't work there anymore, but we all work together with their different generations.
Yeah.
So we've got a millennial and a Gen Z, and so they're very we raised very articulate, powerful daughters. So nobody is going to find that as a surprise, but they value time. It's very important to them.
Yes.
Time is important. And so, when we're talking about benefits, my niece is the first one to say, Auntie, I don't want more money, I want more time. I keep me at the salary I'm at, and I'd rather have an extra week or an extra 2 weeks, so whatever that comes to money. So just understanding what it is that makes people motivated and tick, and then builds a work culture around that.
Yeah.
Because and everybody's in different seasons of their life.
That's
right?
exactly.
If I just came in the field and I had a young kid, free childcare would be important to me. If I'm 52, my kids are grown, I could care less about free childcare. So understanding the season that someone is in their life also makes a big difference in what you offer and how you would take them.
That's right. And I think about my early years in the career and how many really thoughtful, smart, articulate, powerful women acted as my mentor, right? The people that I looked to, some of them at this event, Valora Washington and Carol Brunson Day, those were women that I looked at and said, wow, I could do that someday, and
there you are.
And here I am not doing exactly the same thing, but always felt like there was a place and room and opportunity in early education. And I think that's another goal of the leadership conference is to make a place for everyone, no matter what season they are in, right? If they're a new business owner, a new director, if they've come back into the field, so many of our leaders are industry outsiders who weren't finding purpose and meaning in their job and then wanted to bring those leadership skills into work that had more value, right? And so they have a lot to offer us, but we need to have a lot to offer them too. And so I'm so excited and so honored that NCCA asks me to serve
Yeah.
in that capacity. So
Yeah. It sounds like it's going to be great.
nice.
And for my friends out there who are listening, we'll put a link. I don't have the link right now, but I'll put a link in the bottom in the show notes so you can get your tickets. If you live close by, definitely get your tickets. And if not, guess what? Breeze Airways is really, really cheap. Get your ticket and fly in and come see the ducks. And this beautiful lady, and of course, we'll get you in the director's chair as well.
Awesome.
So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. As always, see you later.
Bye.